Hi guys, a very happy Christmas. I hope you are getting in the festive spirit. This week is a little bit different. We are doing a countdown of my 5 best Christmas baking recipes, and there is a reason why we're doing a countdown rather than an actual recipe. It's because Sophie had the baby. We have a little baby boy called Noah who has arrived. He was born in Pasadena, California, only 10 minutes away from where we're living right now. So we are super excited and so proud and pretty exhausted, which is definitely why you're not getting a new recipe this week. But you are getting 5 of my favorite baking recipes, and I hope they will tide you over this Christmas season. And here they are, check them out. Fa la 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 la, gingerbread cookies. They are so easy to make, and we're going to start off by creaming together some butter, which is softened down ever so slightly, and we're going to cream it together with a combination of sugars. I've got some granulated sugar and a little bit of dark brown sugar. So straight on with the mixer, let's get this mix light and fluffy. We are in business now. So to this mixture, we're going to add 1 large free-range egg, so get that straight in there. To this, we're also going to give it a bit of a depth of sweetness from some treacle. And if you can't get treacle, which I know not everyone can, you can use blackstrap molasses. Right, get rid of this. Now we're going to leave him here, and we're going to mix this up. Okay, we have it nicely mixed through. So, to this mixture, we're going to get in there with our dry ingredients. But first things first, we're going to add a tiny touch of vanilla extract. We're also going to go in there with a heaped teaspoon of ground ginger. We're also going to add a heaped teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. And now we're going to give this a little mix through just to completely combine it. And now it's time to fold through our flour, a little pinch of salt. Dump your flour straight in there. For a little bit of extra flavor, now you don't have to use this if you can't get your hands on this, but stem ginger, it has this lovely little sweet sort of fiery flavor. And if you get little chunks of this in your biscuits, it is truly special. So this goes to rest in the fridge, and I have one that has been rested and that's ready to go. Grab up a baking tray lined with some parchment paper, and now it's just a case of taking up about a teaspoon's amount of the dough, rolling it in your hands like this. Take that little ball, roll it in some granulated sugar, and then once it is nicely coated like this, place it on your baking tray and then just press it down ever so slightly with your thumb. And now I'm going to repeat with the remaining dough. This now goes into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 180 degrees Celsius. They're going to cook for about 8 minutes. Right, my cookies have cooled, they've come out of the oven, they are ready to go, and now, because it is Christmas, we're going to give these a nice gingerbread filling. So, to do that, I have some softened butter and some icing sugar. I'm going to add a tiny touch of ginger, and all you got to do is beat this up until you have a nice smooth mixture. I now have a nice smooth filling, so I'm going to get rid of the beaters. We're going to get them in the sink, and now it is time to bring this together. And to do that, I'm just going to use a spatula to scrape down the sides, and essentially you're going to want about a teaspoon's amount to spread on the interior filling of all these beautiful biscuits. Just enough to bring it together, and then choose one that's kind of similar sized. And you are left with a gingerbread cookie which is chewy, moist, and oh so delicious with all that spice in there. So now I get to taste one. Tastes like Christmas. Now, for anyone who is not a good baker around the holiday season, these candy cane Christmas fudge pieces are the ones for you. It's Christmas time, there's magic in the air, there's an elf chirping in the corner, except elves don't chirp. So we're gonna make some wonderful candy cane marshmallow fudge. We're going to start off by making it with some condensed milk straight into a saucepan. So stick on your heat and stick in your chopped white chocolate. And this is important to add in here because if you don't add the white chocolate, this doesn't set. And to bring it together, we're going in there with some butter just to give it a nice creamy finish. So leave it up to temperature, keep stirring, and make sure it doesn't catch at the bottom. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Our butter has melted down, our chocolate has melted down, and now it's time to take it straight off the heat. At this point now, we need to get in there with our flavoring and our coloring. So I'm going about a teaspoon of green food coloring going in. This is going to give you that all-important elf look, which is, of course, at Christmas time, very important. We're also going to go in there with some peppermint extract, and you only need a tiny touch of this. In fact, that is more than enough. Give this all a stir through, and you will be left with beautiful, vibrant neon green fudge. And of course, what time of the year should you be eating neon green fudge? Christmas, of course. We've got this beautiful green color, and now this is all we need for our fudge. So we're going to stick it straight into this tray lined with some parchment paper. Once it is all in that baking tray, it's going to set in the fridge. But before it goes in there, we need to decorate it and give it all that Christmas feel and magic. So to do that, we have some candy canes and some marshmallows. So we're going to sprinkle this across the top, get them in, get it looking good, and this goes into the fridge. My fudge has been setting in the fridge, and now that it's nice and firm, I'm going to slice up one and try one just to see what that tastes like. This is definitely a treat for Christmas. Not an everyday treat, but it is so, so sweet and delicious. If you've always dreamed of making a wreath, but you've thought that's too much effort and instead I'm going to make something I can actually eat, this is an edible Christmas wreath. I can smell the magic of Christmas in the air, and I have the perfect recipe to share with you. It is my ultimate white chocolate and cranberry Christmas wreath. So to make this up, we need a lovely sweet bread dough. And for that, we're going to start off with some butter in a saucepan. So you want to melt the butter down, and once it's nicely melted, we're going to add in the milk. We're now going to add some fast action yeast straight into this flour and give it all a good mix through. Give it a nice pinch of salt just to add a little bit of contrast between saltiness and sweetness, especially in a sweet bread dough like this. Give that a good mix through, and then once you have it mixed through, make a well with a wooden spoon just like this one, and now it's time to pour in that lukewarm milk and butter mixture. So straight into the center. So I'm adding 2 teaspoons of cardamom just for a nice hit of spice. You could add cinnamon if you like, but we're going with cardamom. So start by taking that wet mixture and slowly incorporating the flour in so you're getting your wet and dry evenly combined. So at this point, it's time to tumble this straight out onto your work surface. So you're going to need this for about 6 to 8 minutes. Okay, this is good to go. So this is going to rise for about 45 minutes covered in a nice warm spot. So for our filling, I have some softened butter, which I'm going to add some sugar to. So it's just a case of beating up your butter and your sugar until it's nice and smooth. Okay, this is looking good. I'm going to get rid of my paddles, and now it is time to spread this across our dough. So tap off any excess. This is also going to get hit with some great flavor from the zest of one orange. That is all the orange zest I need, so grab up a spatula, give this a good stir through, and make sure you get all that orange zest nicely incorporated in there. Now we have our filling. We have got to get filling. So we have got this dough which has risen up, and you'll see that it'll have doubled in size. So just scoop up that dough, tumble it out, and now it's a case of kind of getting it into a sort of a rough rectangle shape and then using a rolling pin to roll this out completely. So we're looking for a nice thin rectangle, about 1 centimeter in thickness, and you want it to basically, I don't know, size-wise, it's probably about 2 arms, like that. You want it that size. Let's go. Don't be afraid to just shape it out the way you need it to be. So grab up that filling, and it's just a case of dolloping this straight in the center, spread it out. This is good to go. We are going to sprinkle over some white chocolate. I've just lightly chopped it up. And then we're going to grab up a handful of berries. Right, cranberries on. This is where you get your hands involved and just press them straight in to that dough. And now, once they are pressed down like this, you're going to grab up the dough from one side and start pressing it over just like this. And just keep going with your dough until you have it all nicely rolled up. Once you have a nice even look on your dough, this is exactly the way we need it to be, we're going to roll it over on its seam side, which is basically that side right there. Roll it over on that side. Spread it out, grab up a knife, and you're gonna very carefully slice the whole way down and expose all those beautiful layers. So here we go. So just spread each side away from the other. And once you have 2 big snakes worth of filling, you're gonna bring them together here, seal them up with a nice squishing action, and then you gotta go slowly but surely winding one around the other. Okay, seal it at the end here, and now it is just a case of bringing it together like this. And then wrap one under the other, seal it on one side, and you have your beautiful Christmas wreath. This now goes to rest for about 35 minutes until it's risen again, and then it's ready for the oven. So let's get it onto a baking tray. Cover this with cling film. It's gonna rise for about 35 minutes, just until it's doubled in size, and then it's ready for the oven. My wreath has been resting. It is now ready to go into the oven, but before it goes in, we have to brush it with a little beaten egg. This now goes into the oven to bake off at 180 degrees Celsius, that's 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's gonna bake off for about 30 minutes, but keep an eye on it. What you're looking for is that it's risen and it has a nice cooked interior. It comes out of the oven, and this is what you are left with, this epic looking Christmas wreath. And now we have to try some while it's still nice and warm. I'm gonna dive in. That is just phenomenal. There's very few people I know who don't like Rocky Road, but this Christmas version of Rocky Road is absolutely to die for, and I think you're gonna like it. It starts off by melting down some chocolate, so I'm gonna chop that up now. Right, dark chocolate goes into a bowl, and then place that bowl over a pot of simmering water. My chocolate is now beautifully melted, and to give it a glossy kind of fudgy finish, I'm gonna add in some butter and some condensed milk. So take this mixture straight off the heat at this point, tumble it into a bowl, and this now forms the fudgy chocolatey mixture that will bind together this wonderful Rocky Road. So in with some digestive biscuits, which you can just crunch up in your hands. You want nice big chunks. I've got some dried cranberries. And then I have, for some extra sweetness, just because I love them, some lovely little white chocolate chunks, and they go great in here. To bump up our wonderful kind of Christmas spice and flavor, we're gonna add in the zest of 1 orange. So last bit of orange zest in there, and finally, just to kind of bump up the sweetness, not that we need any more, we've got some lovely mini marshmallows. So tumble them in, and then using your spatula, just give it all a good mix through until it's nicely combined. So just mix that all straight into your baking tray. And now, this is where the really technical part of cooking comes in, because what we're gonna do is really just press this down. Right now, it doesn't look like much. It looks like a bit of a chocolatey mess, but we are going to even it out. And the thing to do that with is just a little bit more chocolate. So spread that over the top here. And now, just using an offset spatula, very evenly, spread it all over the sides. Give the spoon a quick lick. And now, the last little touch is a drizzle of white chocolate over the top. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a beautiful Christmas Rocky Road. This now goes into the fridge to set overnight if you have the time, and I have some that I've prepared earlier. This is one that has set overnight, and I'm going to turn it out, and hopefully this will go well. To make this look pretty, what you want to do is take off the sides and check this out. Look how good that edge looks. Beautiful Rocky Road. Are you excited? I'm feeling a bit excited. It's Christmas. I'm gonna give it a little taste. OMG. Chocolatey, marshmallowy, biscuity, orangey, cranberry. Very, very nice. This is the dessert you need to try this Christmas. Light, airy meringue, chewy interior, all laced with lots of beautiful booze. This is a Christmas Pavlova for you. Preheat the oven to 150 degrees Celsius and line 2 baking trays with baking parchment or silicone mats. Place the icing sugar and egg whites in a standing food mixer and whisk on high for 10 minutes until glossy white peaks form. Using a spatula, gently fold in the corn flour and white wine vinegar. Sift in the cocoa powder and espresso powder and fold with the spatula. Divide the meringue mixture between the 2 baking trays and using a tablespoon or spatula form 2 large meringue discs. Bake for 45 minutes, turn off the heat and allow to cool down in the oven. Whip the cream and brandy together until quite firm, but make sure not to over-whip it. Assemble the pavlova by placing 1 meringue disc on a cake stand. Spoon half the cream onto the first layer of meringue and then top with the other meringue layer. Finish with another layer of cream and top with dark chocolate shavings. That's it, a simple, sophisticated and elegant Christmas dessert. It doesn't get better than that. There you go, lots of festive baking inspiration. I hope they're gonna get you into the kitchen and baking up an absolute treat this Christmas season. I'm gonna leave it there for now. I have to go back and look after the little baby and the little mama. And we wish you lots and lots of Christmas happiness and wishes to all the family. Goodbye.